Hey all, I popped into London on Sunday night because I've been wanting to get some sort of city light photos to add some Blade Runner vibes. This is more of a scout and a little test of this editing method, which I'm about to show you. I'll be going back at some stage with hopefully a model with like a transparent umbrella and more sort of Blade Runner attire. But for now, yeah, I thought I'd show you the editing process on how I edited the photo so far. Excuse me. So I'm just here in Adobe Photoshop, and the first thing you want to do is go filter, camera raw filter. You just want to add a magenta tint and then take the temperature down to the blues, not too much, just a little tad. About there, slightly. About there will do, I think. A little bit more blue. Okay. Then you want to unlock that layer. Duplicate it twice with Control J or Command J on the Mac. And this top layer you want to desaturate. Shift Control U. That'll make it like a dodge and burn layer. And then if you set this layer style to color burn, there we are. That will just isolate all the brightest points. So you can then merge them two layers. So layer, merge layers, or Control E. And then we want to blur this layer. Gaussian blur. About there will do. And then we want to duplicate that layer and blur it even more. So just really crank that one up on there. And then what we want to do, if we just turn that layer off for a moment, it's sort of like a double hit of the blur to create a glow. So the first blur layer we want to set to screen so that all the blacks become transparent. And then we want to do the same on the second layer. And yeah, you can already see it's got that sort of neon glow, although we want to dial it back a bit. So the first layer will take back, I don't know, 70%. Do the same on this layer as well. Just take it all the way down. And maybe just crank it up until we feel it glows enough. So we're already starting to get those neon-y glow vibes. And then the next edit would be to add a blank layer, select the brush tool with a soft edge, and use the eyedropper to select colours. So say you want to make this glow, then you'd select the pink, and we just brush over some pink there. Just crank my flow all the way back up. There we go. And then do the same there with the blues, purples, even. And then we can target over here as well, add a bit more glow. And select this colour up here. Maybe do some on the reds up here. I mean, this is the best sort of lighting example, really. You mainly want to find any sort of city street with loads of lights. If you do a couple of second exposure, it'll obviously blur all the vehicles, which might help it look a bit more sci-fi. I'll just do the same here. Okay, so then we want to blur that layer. even more. So we take that back. So this will just sort of soften the centre of it a bit more. Then we want to make that layer blending mode to soft light. So just do its thing. Soft light. And it's just added a bit more glow everywhere. And then if we merge all these layers, Shift Control Alt E to create a duplicate. Go filter, camera raw filter. You can obviously make the camera raw filter a smart object, so you can go back and edit it, but it just makes the file too big on this instance, so I've just done it as is. So now if we add a bit more vibrance, a little bit of saturation. If you're not sure, vibrance basically does the colours without affecting the skin tones. Not that there's any skin tones particularly in this image, but yeah, that's the difference between vibrance and saturation. Okay, if we go down to the curves, I tend to add a little bit of an S-curve for contrast rather than do it with a slider. You just got a little bit more control. So we want to bring the shadows down, highlights up, and this is the midtones here. So that's very, it's quite magenta actually. I might add a little bit more blue. The white balance again. No, actually that's too much. What should we do? Add a teeny bit of green back in. There we go. So that's all looking very neon now. Obviously this is London, so we've got like vehicles that are not that futuristic. So what you can do to sort of blur out the background a bit is create a adjustment brush, and if we just set the dehaze to negative, so it actually makes it look hazy, so it's like a little bit of foggy-ness. Bring that down, you see there, and then bring down the texture and clarity. Just so it looks all a bit smoky and foggy in the background. So I'm doing this a bit fast and loose. I really want to sort of take out the centre of this post here, because it's obviously when you're doing it, take a bit more time and get it nice and accurate. But yeah, that's sort of hazed out the background a bit there. On the thumbnail for this video, it was a slightly different shot. I was kind of playing it by ear when I was up there. I didn't have a massive plan on what to do. I took a few shots of him standing closer to the camera and further away, and I had a few people moving around, and then I decided I wanted like people in motion while he's standing still. Well, I didn't really get enough shots of the motion, so I did Photoshop a few in by sort of stacking layers. But if I was to go back and do it again, I would have taken more shots and just get a lot of motion around him. It just creates a bit of drama, and he's sort of like pausing, looking at something. But yeah, that's the basics of creating this Blade Runner tech noir cyberpunk look. You can push and pull it as far as you want. Maybe I'll drop the blacks a little bit here. Another thing you can do is if you go create new mask, luminescence range, and then just select any sort of highlights, that will mask all the highlighted areas. And then you can push and pull that even more. So now we've just got control of the highlights, and you can like really dial it up, dial it down, pull down the texture and clarity to make it blur even more. So that's almost dreamlike, really, that one. But it really depends on the shot as well. I'd say if you get a city shot with lots of colours, then it's going to work better. But this is a bit of an extreme example. and back down. I don't think I need to blur it really anymore on this shot anyway. So we'll just put this back to how it was. And it's just disabled that one on this instance. But yeah, bear that in mind because your shot will be probably different and you'll have different lights going on. And yeah, there's the other typical things you could do, like add a vignette. When I add a vignette, I tend to do it manually. So rather than just bring in a uniform circle, I'll create a new mask. And pull the exposure down. And paint everything black. And then erase the areas I want light. Some people could say that, like, why don't you just paint the areas you want darkened? But I find doing this seems to work better just from a psychological perspective, to darken everything first and then paint in the highlights rather than just concentrate on the highlights separately or the shadows separately. So there you go. Yeah, I think that's enough for this picture. I mean, it's probably a little bit overcooked, to be honest, in the saturation. But let's just bring it down a tad. That'll do for now. But yeah, I'm going to do a more planned shoot with model, like I mentioned. So if you'd like to see that, hit subscribe and I'll post a video of the process for that one, or maybe I'll do a live edit stream. So all the best.